subtopic under inequalities is inequalities involving quadratic equation. Now, before we solve question on inequalities involving quadratic equation, what is quadratic equation? Quadratic equation is when we have an equation that has a general format, which is ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0, where your a, b, and c are called the coefficients, or let me say they are integers. Okay, let's give a quick example of this. For example, let's assume I have 2x squared plus 4x plus 3 equal to 0. In this kind of case, the value of my a here is 2, the value of my b here is 4, and the value of my c here is 3. So anytime we have a general format in this way, we refer to that kind of format a quadratic equation. Now let's solve a question on quadratic equation involving inequalities. Okay, move to our very first question, which is our drill 1. In our drill 1, we are given to find the interval in which x will lie in the given inequality. And if inequality given to us is x squared minus x minus 2 greater than or equals to 0. So first thing is that we need to simplify these our inequalities in form of quadratic, and from there we now see the range of x from the quadratic equation. So how do we do this? We make use of factorization method. Using factorization method, we already add that x squared minus x minus 2 greater than or equals to 0. In this case, the first thing you need to do is to multiply the first term and the last term together. When I try to multiply, then that means x squared multiplied by negative 2, and that will give me negative 2x squared. And the next question you need to ask yourself is, what number will I times? Two numbers I will times, that will give me this, and when I add that same two numbers, I'm going to have the middle term. And what are the two numbers? The two numbers are minus 2 and plus 1. Why is it minus 2 and plus 1? When we look at it, minus 2 and plus 1. When I try to have minus 2 times plus 1, I'm going to have it as minus 2, which is what I have here. And when I try to have minus 2 plus 1, I'm going to have minus 1, which is what I have in the middle term. So the next thing to do is to substitute the minus 2 and plus 1 into the middle term for factorization. Okay, so we want to substitute the value of minus 2 and plus 1 into the middle term. So I'm going to have it as x squared minus 2x plus x minus 2 greater than or equals to 0. So in this case, I'm going to group them in two. Grouping them in two, I'm going to have that my x is common, so I have it as ordinary x minus 2 plus what's common here is 1, the same thing, x minus 2 greater than or equals to 0. So the next thing to do is to pick one of the common factor. Then when I pick one of the common factor, I have it as x plus 1, then x minus 2 greater than or equals to 0. So the next thing to do is to find the value of x by separating the factors. Separating the factors, I'm going to have x plus 1 greater than 0 or x minus 2 greater than 0. So the value of x from what we have is that x is greater than minus 1 or x is greater than 2. When you bring the plus 1 to the other side, it's going to turn to minus 1, and when you bring your minus 2 to the other side, it's going to turn to plus 2. Now, before we assume this is the final answer, we need to confirm whether this answer is correct. And how can we know whether it's correct or not? The way you can know is to consider the factor given to you. From the factor given to us, we have that what? X s plus 1 in bracket x minus 2 in bracket greater than or equals to 0. And the question let us understand that at first our x is greater than or equals to 0. So let's give the range of numbers that are greater than or equals to 0. Example, we can have greater than or equals to, it means start from -1, then we go to 0, then we go to 1, and so forth. So how can we know whether this expression is true or not? Is trying to put it into whatever you have here. First thing, let's bring -1. When I try to input -1 here, I'm going to have -1 plus 1, then closing the bracket, -1 minus 2. Go on with this. -1 plus 1, we know that's 0, multiply -1 minus 2, and that's -3, and that is going to give you 0. That's it. But before we finish off, let's consider the other one 0. That means I'm going to input 0 for the other one. Inputting the value of 0, I'm going to have it as equals to 0 plus 1, then 0 minus 2. Now you look at it, 0 plus 1 is 1 times minus 2, and 1 times minus 2 is what? Minus 2. Recall that when I firstly apply my -1, I had it as 0. Now I applied my 0, I had it as minus 2. Now what do you observe here? You observe that it's decreasing, not increasing. From 0 down to -2, it means it's decreasing. And from what we are given, the expression says that our x is greater than, meaning it's increasing. And that's not supposed to be, which is very, very wrong. So that means the expression is not correct. So rather, we have it that our x, instead of having it as x, is greater than or equals to -1, we have to say x is less than or equals to -1, which is the right expression. So that is why it's very, very important you confirm your answer before you have a final answer. So let's consider the other expression. Okay, considering the other expression, which is our x is greater than or equals to 2. So we need to confirm whether this expression is correct or not. And how do we do that? We are going to input it into the value we have as x plus 1, then x minus 2 greater than or equals to 0. And we are going to look at a range of number that is greater than or equals to 2. And these are 2, 3, and 4, then so forth. So these numbers, we are going to input them into the expression and you compare it with the other number to see whether truly it is greater than or equals to 2. So let's confirm that. Picking the first one, which is 2. So when I try to input 2 into the expression here, will I have the true expression as 2 plus 1, then 2 minus 2. So in this case, I'm going to have 2 plus 1 is 3, multiplied by 2 minus 2 is 0, and that's 0. So the value of when we input 2 is going to give us what? 0. So let's see what will be the value when we're trying to input 3. So when we try to input 3 into the expression, what is it going to be? So when I try to input 3, I have 3 plus 1, then 3 minus 2. So 3 plus 1 is 4, multiplied by 3 minus 2 is 1. I'm going to have my answer to be 4. So when I inputted the value of 3 into the expression, I have it as 4. So it's truly our number is increasing. So therefore, it means that the expression is right. That is, our x is greater than or equals to 2. Now that you've already confirmed your answer, the final answer will now be hence. Hence, we have that the value of x is less than or equals to -1, or the value of x is greater than or equals to 2. So we need to express this on a number line. And how do you express this on a number line? For you to express this on a number line, you are going to have it this way. First, you need to draw your number line, and second thing, you have to have a center, which is 0. Then, since our x is greater than 2, that means the 2 is going to be at this side, and our s is less than -1, then it's going to be at this side. So how do we do this now? We put this circle, then circle. So that's how you express it. We have to be very careful. We have it as less than or equals to and greater than or equals to. Because of the equals to, we need to shade the circle. So this is how you express this on a number line.